Your turn, Mazz. Your turn.
All
Talk.
right, fine, fine. You know, already know what it is. We back with another one, Maz and Bad Show episode. Jordan,
Two,
right?
three.
2-3. I believe it's 2-3. Does that mean that it's going to be the greatest episode ever?
I think that's how it goes these days.
I
Am I
mean,
right?
I just, either way, I think most people consider, somebody wearing 23 the GOAT. Maybe a 24 in there every now and then. I don't know. We're changing things up a little bit. First and foremost, we got some business to get out of the way. Can we put our hands together? We got a new producer in the building, Mr. Anthony Cafone.
What up, fellas? What up, fellas? How we doing?
Big
Producer Ant in the house.
Hey, listen, I know you guys wanted a producer. I stepped up. I wanted to
appreciate you.
volunteer my services to you guys because you guys do a good job here on this show. I want to make it better.
And shout out Ant, having this pretty little overlay we have going on right now. I mean, I'm looking at our normal screen on my side of things, but I mean, when you're watching at home, on your phone, on whatever, you're seeing pretty little design right there. Shout out Ant. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate
Think
you
about
guys.
this, Charlie. Think about the value that we're getting. Not only do we get a producer, but we also get somebody that is capable of speaking and contributing to the show in a talent aspect. You hear that sexy voice of his, you know what I'm saying?
Buttery.
But anyway, Charlie, we got some business to get to, buddy. So hit me with the topics, would you?
Yeah, so got a pretty action packed show today because it's been a busy week in sports. It's been a busy week. We got, of course, Juan Soto switching up, going across town from the Bronx to Queens to the Mets. Super excited about that. The Heisman ceremony is this weekend. Three of us will fortunately be working it, but we can talk about the nominees, who's the favorites right now, and who we think should win it. Bill Belichick to North Carolina is picking up a lot of steam, especially this morning. Per multiple reports, an offer has been made to Bill Belichick to come be the next head coach at UNC. NBA, Jimmy Butler and Brandon Ingram are supposed to be the two big names as we approach the trade deadline in early February. And Sam Darnold versus Mike McCarthy. The debate is back. Sam had a little bit of a lull in the middle of the season, but coming off a 5 touchdown performance this past weekend against the Falcons, it's kind of hard not to have a discussion about the Vikings' future, especially at the quarterback position. So, Maz, let's kick things off, and we'll go with the biggest breaking news of the week: the largest contract in North American sports history, because I think some of those soccer players have surpassed this, but Juan Soto to the Mets, 15 years, $765 million, spurns the Yankees to go across town. This has never happened before in the history of sports, I guess you could say. Like when has this ever happened where a superstar player has gone from the same city, the big brother team to the little brother team like this? This is like, it would be like Carmelo Anthony going to the Nets in his Knicks prime. It would be like Eli Manning going to the Jets after he won his first Super Bowl with the Giants. You know what I mean? Like, this is just, it's never before been seen.
I honestly feel like I think you had the perfect comparison with the Carmelo one. I don't really like the Eli one just because like that was their guy. They drafted him, built him up. So it's like I went through the stages of grief when this happened. I'm not gonna lie, like straight up, like just sadness, anger, rage, um, back to sadness, back to wow, this is really setting in. Two, I want to congratulate him almost because it's like, dude, he just fleeced both like the entire league to get almost what was it, 3/4 of $1 billion, as Ant like to say in our text messages, because he can see a little white dot 10.10 faster than anybody else on the planet. Like, it's just insane. So congratulations to Juan Soto. I love to see a fellow Latin man get his. It's absolutely insane. But I will say this though, um, the Yankees better do something. But we'll get to that. You got to give it to Mr. Cohen. He said he was gonna do it. I think if the Yankees would have even matched that, he would have just piled it on more. I believe there's incentives that potentially get up to 800 million for this contract. It's absolutely insane. You pair him with Lindor and a team for the Mets where, you know, they've already had a big payroll in the past. Now they're adding a legitimate superstar who, as much as I want to hate on him, dude, he's a generational talent. He's in the prime of his career, not even 30 yet. He is an extraordinary player, and I know it's going to be good for the Mets. But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm still salty. I wish he was here. The only reason why I can't be mad about this is because he's not a homegrown talent for the Yankees. This isn't like Aaron Judge bailing on us. This is a one-year mercenary who helped us get to the World Series. We didn't get the job done, and he made a business decision of, hey, either way, whoever wants to pay me the most, it is what it is. I'm not gonna lie. He showed us exactly who he is, though. I'm never expecting any loyalty out of him because apparently the only difference was what, $5 million between the two teams.
Yeah, I think it was. And feel free to chime in here to talk about your beloved Yankees. But I believe it was a $5 million difference, and the Yankees offered one more year, 16 years instead of as opposed to the Mets 15.
Yeah, so the Yankees offered $760 million, which would have been a $47.5 million AAV. The Mets were offering $51 million AAV over the course of the 15-year contract. The Yankees also offered a 16-year deal, so an extra year on top of the contract. So that's why it would have been a little bit lower of a number. And Steve Cohen pretty much came out and said there were reports that were from very reliable sources throughout the last couple of days that he was willing to go up to $800 million. I think the Yankees kind of made a line in the sand, and they said, listen, we're not going to go over $760 million. If you truly want to be a New York Yankee, you're going to take the deal. And the Mets made, credit to Cohen. He didn't back down. He was willing to put out those numbers. Whether the contract ages well, we'll see. I'm sure it will. I think he's a Hall of Fame player, but that's kind of how negotiations go when you have a guy who makes that much money.
You know what I'm most sad about, Charlie? The Yankees got yankied. That's just what it came down to. We're seeing a shift where it's like now they are the ones where there is a threshold that they are not willing to go above. And the Mets are like, oh, we could do this all day. I mean, we got billionaire Papa in the building, right? So here's the thing, though. I think I am confident that the Yankees were even that competitive. I did not have faith in them to even get close to what Cohen was going to be offered. I know some people were like, no, they absolutely have to. But the fact that they were willing to go up there gives me hope that they're going to be all in on next year. And I hope that they go make some big moves. I mean, for what you're spending with that one player, you can bring in legitimately 3 guys that can make an impact, I think. And maybe even a good pitcher on top of it, but we'll see.
Yeah, and this is just what it comes down to. It's when Steve Cohen bought this team 4 or 5 years ago, this is the kind of thing that he promised he was going to do for the Mets, because obviously, in the history of the New York Metropolitans, the Wilpons and that horrific era of baseball where they refused to spend a certain amount of money, wouldn't go in on Bryce Harper because they already had a $30 million player. Those days are over, and the Met fans deserve this. You know what I mean? Like it's just been a long time coming, and it's just any Yankee fan out there that's trying to downplay Soto. Oh, he's going to decline. He's terrible defensively. He's going to be a big problem for you in the outfield. Man, just let him have this one. You got 27 reasons to let the Met fan be happy for these next few weeks. Just let it sink in. Let this honeymoon phase come. It's gonna be a great spring in New York, I'd say.
What do you think it's gonna be like when Soto shows up back in the Bronx for the first time? That Subway Series, it's gonna be a couple of times that he's gonna be hearing it for sure. But what do you expect from that reaction?
Massive amounts of booze. I mean, I expect nothing less. I mean, this is a guy. I mean, like as much as you want to sugarcoat it, put in different words, he spurned the Yankees. He spurned the Yankees. He did. So there's going to be some booze. Some booze. It's going to be pretty loud.
I felt like I lost a friend when it happened. It's just like sitting there. It's like as if like he's been there for a decade. Like it's just absolutely insane. And I have a question for you real quick, right? I know I'm taking this a little bit off topic, but that contract is so massive. I have not personally seen one in North American sports since Canelo Alvarez got one from DAZN for $400 million over a decade, and they had to go back on that contract, and he ended up getting paid out because they just could not afford it. Does this change the landscape, or is this just a one-off moving forward for contracts when it comes to, baseball, basketball, what have you. I know TV deals are racking up just insane numbers, but we've never seen anything like this. Where do you think the future for contracts go?
I think this is an albatross contract because the one thing that really I think you have to consider when it comes to Juan Soto is his age and being 26 years old and already having the resume that he has, and you probably have another 10 years of prime baseball still left with him. Like, that's never really gonna come across that often. Maybe you'll see another Juan Soto type of player, but again, the way he was able to bet on himself, the Nationals offered him a $440 million contract 2 years ago, and he declined it. And everyone at the time was saying that was stupid. That was a dumb decision. You shouldn't have done that. But he wanted to hit the open market. I think that's something that players should always strive to do. I know there's security in locking down, a major contract. Look at Julio Rodriguez, 14 years, $350 million after his rookie season. But I think there's something to be said about if you are able to bet on yourself and really perform to the highest level and be an MVP candidate player, hitting the open market, you can make way more money. And I think this contract, $765 million for one player, frankly, who doesn't play great defense, is a really good hitter. But I think in 5-6 years' time, he'll probably be a DH for the Mets. That's probably what they're going to have him do. I don't see really that many contracts that warrant that much. I think Ohtani, the reason why he got such a big number was because of what he can bring with the Japanese market, because he had pretty much as a whole country buying MLB packages just to watch his games. So that's why he's worth the amount of money that he was worth. I can understand that value. The Soto value, I think, is just a little crazy. I think it just ballooned because of what he really means and how young he really is. So I think you'll see another contract like this in the future, but it's just got to be like a young phenom. Because you think about it, look, Tom Brady and Kobe Bryant total career earnings are still less than the Soto contract. Put that in perspective.
Yeah, I think that just speaks to the landscape. And I honestly think, Charlie, like, you think of a player like Alex Rodriguez when, he was hitting the open market. I believe he was 24 years old at that time. What the hell would he pull today? I would have loved to know it. And it's just insane. I hope that the sports market keeps going up because, they're gonna need coverage. Maybe some jobs open up. Maybe this podcast takes off. So I'm not mad at it at all. But I'm not gonna lie. You guys know I always love to gamble on myself. But 440, I mean, that's it. I won in my book. I mean, to take the extra risk, that's just not necessary. But that's just that's my circumstance. I'm never gonna be worth $1 billion, my friends. But keep it moving.
One last thing on the Soto contract. We have the 5 years in, he does have an opt out where he can hit the market again unless I believe it's if the Mets want to keep the contract going, he gets a raise for about like $5 million or something like that.
Yeah, I can actually look up the specifics of the contract, but yeah, it's a 5-year opt out. I don't see why he would want that unless because once again, if after 5 years he'll be 31, he's not going to get a contract like he's getting right now again. There's no chance. So even if he's still having MVP caliber seasons, I would still say stick and ride out the rest of this 15-year deal. I don't see why there's a reason to opt out.
The world is yours, Mr. Soto. The world is yours for sure. One last question on this. What does this mean for Pete Alonso? Are they still going all in? Is this the only moves that we're going to be really seeing them make? What's going on now?
Be back, man.
They've been saying they don't want him for the entire time, and then boom, we hit the postseason, a couple of home runs and big hits there, and it's like, oh, Polar Bear, come back, buddy. We'll keep that spot showed for you, even though had you on the hot seat the entire damn year. I'm curious to see how the Mets handle this.
Hold on, I just pulled up Juan Soto's contract, so on the screen, I know you guys can't see this, but I'll show the viewers. So this is his contract. 2025, he's making $51 million. He has an opt out heading into the 2030 season. If available, he could take a 10-year contract, but a chance to potentially come back to the Mets. So I mean, it's a very intriguing contract. So if you want to take a look at it right here, we have it here.
Scott Boras, man, he knows how to write that ish up.
I'm still not over it, but like I said, I will have faith. I know the Mets have a lot to look forward to. Going to be interesting to see how the rest of the baseball landscape responds, but we still got a couple of months for that. Charlie, where are we going to next, buddy?
Heisman finalists. So, just this week, it was announced. For some reason, in years past, I thought it came out a lot earlier. But week of the ceremony, we got our 4 finalists. We got Colorado's two-way player Travis Hunter, Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty, Oregon quarterback Dylan Gabriel, and Miami quarterback Cam Ward.
Oh, you guys already know where I'm leaning, but he's not going to win it. I hope it's Cam. I think that they screwed Miami out of the playoffs. We'll get to that later, maybe. But when it comes down to it, I really think that I think Cam's in 4th place here just because there's 3 criteria looking at the other ones. First, winning matters. Dylan Gabriel being the number 1 seed in college football right now, I think people are going to be looking a lot at that. Of course, you have the two-way flexibility that comes with Travis Hunter. People are kind of looking at him like a Shohei Ohtani, where it's just to put up the receiving yards, I believe 5th in the nation right now, over 1,000 yards, couple of touchdowns there, 4 interceptions, just getting it done on both ways. There's been a lot of criticism between him and Jeanty for the conferences that they play in. I just think that that's shenanigans because you look at the top teams in college football right now, a lot of them were coming over from the Big 12. From the Pac-12, so what does that really matter? I mean, it's all Division I. You're saying it's kind of on the same level. I'm not saying that the conference is, on the same par as maybe a Big Ten or an SEC in another year. However, it's all under the same coalition, and they can play each other at any time. We've seen upsets, I feel like more so in college football than any other sport, maybe besides college basketball. So, especially with a one-and-done style 12-round team, I just don't know. But then we get to Jeanty, right, where he's averaging just Superman numbers. And people want to say it's subpar teams. Sure, but he's dominating those teams. So I just don't know how to feel about this. For my money's worth, I think it's probably going to be Travis Hunter. If I had to vote myself, I think I'd have to go Jeanty because he's literally changing the dynamic for his team more than anybody.
Yeah, I pulled up the odds just out of curiosity, and I figured it would be between Hunter and Jeanty as the 2 favorites, because I mean, Dylan Gabriel and Cam Ward, no disrespect, but it's not like they've had like eye-popping seasons where you're like, whoa, these guys need to go in the first round. Well, Cam Ward, yes. Dylan Gabriel, no. But yeah, Travis Hunter is the heavy favorite, and it makes sense to me why he would be. Just because of we have not seen a player like this playing both sides of the ball in college football in, I don't think ever. You'd have to go back pretty damn far to see a guy playing both cornerback and wide receiver, and also Mazz, like as you said, having productive and dominating seasons at those positions. Ashton Jeanty is a fantastic talent. He's going to go in the first round. I don't think he's the best college football player in the country this year. To do so much, playing so many snaps on both sides of the ball, I don't see how you can't give it to him. I'll be 100% honest.
I like the take, and I don't mind it. It's just I do look at the way that Shedeur Sanders has played, and I feel like, he's impacting as well. Dylan Gabriel, there is a plethora of talent on that Oregon team. That's why they're number 1. I truly feel like if you were to take out Jeanty and put in any other running back, I don't know if we're talking about Boise State as much as we are. So that's why I'm just kind of leaning that way. But I completely understand why you would value a Travis Hunter. Just for me, it's Charlie. For you, what do you think matters the most? Is it winning? Is it the capability on the field? Is it the stats? For your money's worth, what do you value the most?
I think it's a mix of those first 2 things you said. It's the winning and it's the stats. If you're on a crap team that's going 6-6, 7-5, you're not going to get any serious looks for Heisman. I mean, Colorado's what, like 9-3, 10-2, I want to say, heading into their bowl game. Like, yeah, they're not in the playoff, but they won enough to be relevant and stay at the forefront all season long. And the stats are there too. So for me, that's what I'm looking for. And I'm checking the box of who's winning the Heisman Trophy this year.
I love your answer for that of saying, because I think winning matters above everything, and then that capability on the field. It's just that although they are in a bowl game, so is Miami, right? So it's like to be just on that next echelon of winning. And there's a debate of how we're doing the top 12 team playoffs, because it's not really the top 12 teams once you have the bids by winning the conferences and stuff. But nonetheless, I mean, this is how it is right now. And I think being in that next level, while yes, a bowl game matters, being in the college football playoffs and playing in one of those bowl games just matters a little bit more to me. And that's why I'd be more likely. I can understand if Gabriel got it. I get why people are falling in love with Hunter, but for my money's worth, it would have to be Genty. So,
And
but we'll see how it works out.
I can't wait to watch Genty in the NFL next year, and also in his college football playoff game coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the Cowboys keep on tanking and go get a legitimate running back because the guy that they got there now is okay, but not RB1 in my opinion, my friend. But we'll see where he ends up falling. I doubt we'll get there.
All right, moving on to Bill Belichick heading to North Carolina to coach the Tar Heels. It's looking more and more likely by the day. I mean, yesterday he went on to Pat McAfee, had a conversation about it, just hypotheticals. I had to remind Pat a few times that nothing's 100% yet, that he's still just kind of talking through with the athletic director and the chancellor and whatnot. But this morning, things have been really picking up steam. There's a report out there that there is an offer on the table for Bill Belichick. And Maz, I think this whole thing has just really confused a lot of fans of football. Like, why have we ever really seen a coach of Bill Belichick's caliber? I mean, there isn't a lot of coaches of Bill Belichick's caliber, let's be totally fair, but making the move, going from the pros down to the college level.
You know what I think it comes with? I could not understand it, and it wasn't until about 20 minutes before we hopped on. I saw a thing come on the Pat McAfee show, just a little scroll bar about that, like, heating up, and I was like, dude, why would you want to go there, right? I just don't understand. A lot of people are theorizing that he's trying to, set his son Steven up for the long haul. I don't know, but then it dawned on me. How does Bill Belichick operate more than anything? Right? The number one facets to it. It's buying in, and it's the Patriot way, which is really just the Bill Belichick way, where you were looking at the biggest thing that teams were worried about was the influence that he was going to have over their programs, right? Or should I say their franchises, really, at the NFL level. Was he going to sway internal opinion where GMs aren't going to have their say, owners might even lose their say, the players just all buying onto him? I think everybody is afraid of that. And being a college coach, you essentially are a dictator of a small nation, right? Where get out of my way, I'm handling everything. I know that we saw Tom Brady, Gronk, and Julian Edelman laughing about how is he going to be on college visits. Listen, you want to be here, be here. If not, get on out of here. But I'll tell you right now, I can see why he would be enticed by this if the only openings are not necessarily ideal. There's a lot of work to be had with, say, a Jaguars, with the Cowboys, whomever. Like, all the openings for the NFL, like, it is going to be hard to rebuild them, just like it's going to be hard to build that college program. However, I think UNC would be a lot more lenient towards do it exactly how you want it compared to these other ones. I mean, even the cons over at the Jaguars like to have a say. Jerry Jones can't be hands off. So it just all depends. I think he's enticed by I can do what I love, and that's be around football and win. And everybody will just leave me the hell alone, most of all, if I go to UNC. So I kind of get it, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of make sense, like we're talking about with he's trying to help set up his son. I think one of the things that I saw reported was there is an agreement in place that whenever Bill is done, that he's literally just going to pass it off to his son Steve, who right now is the defensive coordinator in Washington. Funny enough, but yeah, I think he's just going to do his best to build this out like an NFL program, as kind of like you said with the Patriot way. Not necessarily maybe, riding them and driving them so hard, but just building out like an NFL-like organization. And I think you're going to see a shift in the future when it comes to some of these college programs, especially these blue chip ones like UNC, where now with the new era of NIL and player value and you're handing out money to these guys, you need like almost like along with your coach, you need a general manager. It's starting to seem like, because it's almost becoming like free agency, and there's going to be a salary cap and all this stuff. So it really just feels like Belichick is maybe seeing that a lot earlier than a lot of other people are. And he's going to be the one to implement the first ever, I don't know, pro football-esque organization at the college level. Like, I think UNC is going to turn into like I mean, who knows how long it takes for the wins to start stacking up, but you're going to start seeing them like this process is going to start getting duplicated across the country because Bill Belichick, one of the smartest football minds that this world has ever seen.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's just it's gonna be so weird. I mean, like you know me, I want to be at the highest level possible, so it's automatically the NFL. But it's so unforgiving where he could really take his time down there. And I'll tell you right now, I mean, the ACC automatically goes on notice because UNC, he goes there, UNC automatically goes from, you know, low to middle of the pack to Clemson, watch out, Miami, you might never win an ACC championship. And I'll be very upset if it happens. But hey, Bill's still playing chess, it seems like, when everybody expects him to be playing checkers. Just, I don't like that. Oh, Bill's too old for this and that. Like, no, I just think Bill just needs to have the right situation, and full control seems to be it. Now, there is a case to be made on what happened, with the Patriots in the later years, but I remember hearing reports that Robert Kraft was really pushing up against him on the guys to draft, so I don't even know if that was necessarily exactly who he wanted. Where it comes to this, hey, this is the kid that we want, go and get it.
Maz, real quick before we move on to our next topic, if Bill Belichick does end up at UNC, let's say he takes the job an hour from now, who becomes your number one option at head coach for the Cowboys next year?
Oh, dude, I'm not gonna lie. It's such a question mark because I've been banking on him so much, right? But when it comes down to it, I need leadership. I need somebody that's been proven to win with a lesser roster because I do think that they have so much talent, right? Where it's like Mike McCarthy's success came having an MVP quarterback. Where I need somebody that is used to going through the woes already, and that's why I'm looking at a Mike Vrabel. It just has to be. You look at everything else out there, I'm just not in love with it. But I look at Vrabel, you've had less, you've had some good talent, you've won some games more than you ever should. I think he brings a bit of that Bill Belichick. We know that he played under him, but he does it in a new age fashion. And I think that it could absolutely turn the Cowboys back to at least a direction that I could be somewhat proudful of. He's 100% my number one coaching candidate right now looking out there. But I'll be honest, some guys that I've floated out there for the Jets, I just don't see the same for the Cowboys. I just seems like a totally different situation to me, and it's gonna be interesting. I'm almost kind of enticed by giving a Brian Flores another shot too. I'm a big fan of his. I worry how these guys are gonna handle Jerry. I kind of would want a bigger personality that can at least push back on it, but then I don't know because then it might not work out.
I think Mike Vrabel is going to be number one at the top of a lot of lists this offseason for coaching hires. We'll see what happens with him currently on the sideline for the Browns. But sticking with the NFL, Sam Darnold this past weekend against the Falcons had 5 touchdown passes. I think he was 22 of 28, 5 touchdown passes, no interceptions, just an absolute stellar game. He's going to be top 10 in MVP voting when it's all said and done. We talked about this a few months ago on the podcast when they got off to their hot start. There was a little bit of a lull, but here we are back again. The Minnesota Vikings have a QB problem on their hands because they have Sam Darnold, who's playing like a man on fire, and you got JJ McCarthy waiting in the wings, coming off a little bit of a meniscus surgery, I think it was what he had to get patched up. But it's almost like the definition of I think this is The Simpsons, where it's like you got 2 boxes. You got the mystery box and then a box with a boat. And you're like, but what if the mystery box has the boat in it? You know what I mean? Like what if JJ McCarthy is also could play just as good as Sam Darnold or better in this Kevin O'Connell system? So Maz, I'll stick it to you first. If you're the Vikings general manager, what are you doing this offseason?
I'm not even worried about McCarthy. I haven't even seen him yet. What I am seeing is a 27-year-old revitalizing his career, gonna be thrown for over 4,000 yards this season. Along 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I mean, you're talking about being in the MVP conversation. Just came off a 5-touchdown performance against Atlanta this last week. Sam Darnold, although there's been 1 or 2 step backs where some games got a little ugly, He's proven that he can run this system. He can get the best out of Justin Jefferson, and not just Jefferson. Everybody looks like they're just firing on cylinders. I think you rock with what you have right now. I don't want to know about. I'm sorry, I was never big on McCarthy because he struck me, even though he went to Michigan, as just one of those Alabama-esque quarterbacks where all the talent around is so good that I honestly just have to play within the system and we're gonna win games, right? Where I'm looking at Darnold and he's kind of enhancing the system, pairing up. He by no means the best player on the team, but he's definitely not taken away from them more than he's elevating them. And like I said, he's not even 30 yet. I think especially for the contract that you could get him on. It's not like he's going to be getting the craziest amount of money. I think this is going to be even team friendly to bring him back. I think it's a no-brainer that you got to rock with him.
I see. That's the thing, Mazz. Is I don't think it's going to be team friendly if you bring him back. He's going to hit the open market as, like you said, a 4,000-yard passer. He's going to throw for 30 touchdowns. He's going to be top 10 in MVP voting. Some quarterback desperate team could throw the bag at him. The Raiders could absolutely move heaven and earth to sign him. The Titans could throw a massive contract at him. If you're the Minnesota Vikings, I think as great as the season you're having is right now, as fantastic as he's playing, I think you got to stick with your guns and rock with the first round pick and JJ McCarthy, because not only is Sam Darnold a free agent, like you said, you're going to have to pay him north of $35 million next year if he's coming back. He's not taking a hometown discount. He's not. He's going to go somewhere where they want him, where they're going to pay him, and where he's going to play. I don't think he ends up back with Minnesota next year. JJ McCarthy, even though he's the mystery box, he's still on his rookie contract. He's only gonna get cheaper from here until his 5th-year option. I think you rock with JJ McCarthy. You keep retooling this Vikings roster, because while they're playing really good, I still don't think they're as set up for the future as other teams, and I think they still need a little bit more injection of youth on the defensive side of the ball and on the offensive line.
So what it comes down to it is this: if a team wants to go overpay and be my guest, I'm not fighting tooth and nail to keep him. But if I can keep him, I'm gonna do it. I think teams actually looked at what the Giants did with Daniel Jones in just one good season, which resulted in one playoff win, and boom, $40 million. If you want to go throw that money on him, be my guest. Right. However, if I could get this at a bit of a discount, it's not gonna. When I say team friendly, obviously it's not gonna be the league minimum. You're gonna have to pay him a little bit more. But you look at these guys with the revitalized careers, right? The Baker Mayfields. It's the talent around them means a lot, right? So even if I'm Sam Darnold, I'm enticed to take the money, but I'm also enticed by, I know that I'm playing with one of the best that the league has to offer, and that's also boosting my stats and is going to lead to more money down the line. An NFL contract, I mean, let's be honest, dude, it's in that 4-year range for the most part. In 4 years, he's 31 years old, so he might have another contract out there that he could potentially get. I want to be in the best situation to get that second contract, because I promise you, those 2 contracts are going to add up to more than what you're going to get on this one season. So yeah, the Raiders, maybe Tennessee, dare I even say Miami. I don't think that's happening though, really. Those teams might be thinking about it and might be willing to throw the money at him. But if I'm him, I'm thinking long term, and the best situation for him is absolutely staying with the Minnesota Vikings. However, here's one thing that we are talking about this a little prematurely, because we're talking about regular season numbers right now, and they look fantastic. They're going to have some good seeding in playoffs. However, what is he going to do when the bigger lights come on in playoffs and everybody's locking in, instead of just potentially coasting for that week because they already know that they're in a decent position to get down the line? So I don't know how that's going to pan out. I hope that he shines, because I've enjoyed watching him. Especially, I was a guy that when the Jets took him, I was like, yo, I think that is an overdraft for the position for sure. But hey, he stayed steady the course, right? Carolina over to San Francisco. Now it's Minnesota time. And I think you got to stay on that skull energy that they're giving him, for the sole fact of, dude, you've never looked better, and a change of scenery could potentially crumble it all to hell, because you're playing with one of the best offensive minds, even with coaching on top of the talent. So I think if I'm him, hey, I'm gonna work with you. Pay me what the not necessarily what the market is dictating, because sometimes the market can inflate what I'm actually worth, but give me something fair and let's build something here.
One, one last point for you, Maz. You're Sam Darnold. What is the number one thing you're looking for when you hit free agency this offseason?
Like I said, I'm looking for success, right? I'm looking for an offensive line that can protect me. I'm looking for a wide receiver that can help boost my numbers, because I've already been a guy with teams that, Matt, even though they wanted to build around me, they just couldn't. I'm looking for an already established situation. I'm looking to make my job easier so that I can get to that second contract. Somebody has already taken a risk on me. There's no reason for me to take a risk on somebody else right now when that could lead me to that next contract. I see a much easier path
Yeah.
getting to that 31, 32-year-old next contract with the Vikings than I do
So,
any other team that's looking for a starting quarterback right now.
so I'll push back on you there. I think the number one thing Sam Darnold should be looking at when he is hitting free agency is opportunity to play. Because I'm telling you, if he comes back to the Vikings and they don't move off of JJ McCarthy, there's always that's always going to be hanging over him. The first round pick quarterback on the bench who they've been waiting to play. If he goes to a Tennessee or a Las Vegas or a insert team that is willing to pay him X amount of dollars, he's being entrenched as the starting quarterback. You know what I mean? They probably that will be their solution to the quarterback position for that offseason. They'll sign Sam Darnold and then they move on to improve the rest of the team. There's always going to be the JJ McCarthy factor in Minnesota. It's always going to be there unless they move off of McCarthy as well. That factor is always going to be there.
Well, I think, it kind of is a lesser version of Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers for me, where even though they brought in Jordan Love, they were rocking with Rodgers for that little bit of time until they felt that it was ready. So, and Rodgers was able to show during that time, even though he's might have decreased now going to the Jets, but there was still a market for him during that time. So it's like, even though there's somebody waiting in the wings, you are the number one option right now. You need to make the best of that, because here's the one thing that you have going for you. Although JJ does have that mystery of what could be, because he is a first overall pick and he did win a national title. They did not win the title because of JJ McCarthy. He was not the consensus number one overall pick. This is not Michael Vick coming out of college. This isn't, Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel even. This is a guy who did good within a system. And that mystery, although can be enticing, it's also hurting him in the fact of, you are balling right now. They know that you can work this system. They have not a goddamn clue what JJ McCarthy can do for them. They know that Sam Darnold can win games. They know that Sam Darnold can get them into the playoffs, because we're watching it right this second. So even if they want to go JJ, you think he's going to put up these numbers that first season he steps on the field? I don't think so. That's
Not
going to be a
necessarily,
building.
but he's a first round. He's a first round pick, Maz. There's
Mhm.
politics that go with that. You know what I mean?
Sure, but as I always mentioned, the politics that come down to this just make absolutely no sense to me, for the sole fact of, you wanted to bring in Darnold as well. Yes, there was a quarterback battle and you did not know who you necessarily wanted to go with. Yes, there was rumors that they were going to be going with JJ McCarthy to start the season, but the fact of the matter is, he got hurt and one stepped up to the plate, and not only stepped up to the plate, he's cracked a triple right now. Not necessarily a home run, but it's more than a double. He's looking pretty damn good. I mean, the fact that we're talking about him in the MVP conversation, see JJ McCarthy in the MVP conversation. If he were to play the next season, I don't see that even being a possibility for 3 to 4 seasons, if it's even possible. I don't have much faith in him to get there personally. They saw something, they felt that they can use him. That's great. I'm sure that the Vikings know more about JJ McCarthy and what they have, because they're with him every day, and I'm just looking from the outside looking in. But I know what you have in a Sam Darnold. The whole world knows what you have. However, I think some people can overvalue it. I think some people are going to undervalue it. I think you need to find that sweet spot, find that contract. You could still, again, you have McCarthy on that rookie deal. You can string that along, get the most that you need out of Darnold. And at the end of that, in 2 to 3 years, Darnold, thank you. Have a good one. You could still get that next contract, but we're going to go with JJ. I think it's just a win-win situation. There's no need to let him walk when he's been a proven factor that can help you win. But again, Darnold's got to be smart in this and not be too greedy because you got to be thinking long term for me. However, you want to get that $40 million contract if someone's looking to give it to you. I understand why you want to jump on that, but you got to be thinking bigger picture for me, my friend.
All right, so I guess we can both agree here that probably the best possible outcome here is a 2-year Sam Darnold extension.
Yeah.
Let JJ sit 2 years under him, and then
see what you got. See what you got. But if you're gonna go with that 2 years, it's gonna cost you though. He's going to be, you don't want me to have that longevity with it. You don't want that 4-year contract. That's fine. But you're going to be hitting me with that money up front then. So you got to think about that. So I see why you're saying because you don't want to be locked into him too long. But, I think if you, hit it with a team option, maybe that might be better. So just to entice me that, hey, we have faith in you, but let's be honest. We know what this situation is. We're not the number 1 seed. All right. We're really good, but we're not the number 1 seed. I think the two sides just need to come together and try to find that balance. Easier said than done. I know somebody's going to be stubborn.
All right, moving on to some basketball. We haven't been hitting on that too much recently, but we're in the middle of football season, Mazz. It's the king right now. Once football's wrapping up and comes to a close, basketball comes into the full swing of things. And what are you giggling at?
Basketball season for me, my friend. Okay.
Right.
Did you see the Cowboys last night? Are you kidding me? Anybody that thinks it's Cooper Rush era, sit the hell down. It's basketball season for Cowboys fans right now. Get your Lakers caps on, baby, because that's where we're rocking. And that's not even looking that great either. But sticking with what you were saying, my friend.
Yeah, so for the NBA, hitting December, we got the NBA Cup coming up this week. The quarterfinals start tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken, it's either tonight or tomorrow night. Knicks Hawks, but we're getting to that time of year where NBA executives and GMs and teams are just examining themselves and saying, all right, where are we headed towards this season? And is it time to trade some players? Is it time to acquire some players so we can make a little late season playoff push? We can shore up our championship chances. But as of right now, it's looking like Jimmy Butler is going to be the number 1 trade option at the deadline beginning of February because the Miami Heat are looking to shop him. According to Shams Charania, his preferred destinations that was reported this morning were the Golden State Warriors. I saw Golden State. I saw the Houston Rockets. And I think... Sorry, I should have written this down. I just remember seeing it.
You're good, buddy. But while you're looking for that, let me talk about the Warriors, right? I've been saying that this is a match made in heaven that needs to happen. All right. They were enticed by bringing in Andrew Wiggins a couple of seasons ago. Jimmy Butler is another level of that. And we've talked about where do you balance? Like everybody that we were talking on TikTok with, oh, you just ride this right now. You have that sweet balance. You need the depth. I'm sorry. It's not good enough depth to win a championship, right? When we were talking about that, I believe that they were 1 or 2 in the West. They've dropped down to 5 right now, and they're having a hell of a season at 14-9. But I think bringing in a Jimmy Butler, not only veteran leadership, not only somebody who loves playing defense above else, but somebody that is a superstar in this league that does not get the love that he deserves because a lot of his progress on the court comes from hard work and dedication, not necessarily talent. This guy outgrinds everybody. I would love to see him paired up with a Draymond Green. I think that they would absolutely shut down teams. And yes, Draymond's not the defender that he used to be, but he ain't no slouch either. You get some attention off of Steph Curry, get it going. I'm sorry. You cannot sit there and tell me that the Golden State Warriors are in love with the young talent that they have. I've been waiting for Jonathan Kuminga to be a legitimate starter on this team, not rotating in and out for quite some time. And all the other guys, I just don't think that they're necessarily in love with it because they know we need to win now. There's even been reports that they want to make a big move for a big player because you have a generational player in Steph Curry. There's times where we always talk about when are you going to get a top 10 guy at their position? When are you going to get number 1 at the position? Not only number 1 currently, this is the only guy I've ever legitimately had an argument, and maybe it's better than Magic friggin' Johnson, for crying out loud. And think about all the talent over the years, the Jason Kidds, the John Stocktons, the Chris Pauls, right? The Isaiah Thomases. It's always been Magic above everybody else until Steph Curry. And the one thing about Steph Curry's game that everybody seems to love, and they should love, is that yes, he is athletic, he is an NBA player, but he is a technical shooter, cerebral assassin. The babyface assassin is going to age like fine wine because it's nothing but mechanics. Even if he gets a little slower, even if the hops aren't there like they used to be, I'm not saying that they're like Ja Morant hops. I'm just saying the athletic ability is going to decline, but shooters shoot. He's always going to be able to have that touch, I believe. So, and right now, Steph is starting to get towards those golden ages, right? Not necessarily old man status yet. He ain't Unk yet, but he's on his way to Unk. You need to capitalize on this. I firmly believe that you can get one more championship out of Steph Curry, maybe even two if you make the right piece. Jimmy Butler is a guy that comes in, buys into the culture, continues to be a locker room leader, holds guys accountable, and when you get onto the court, there's nobody, and I mean nobody, including LeBron James, including Kevin Durant, including Luka Doncic, what have you. There is nobody in the entire NBA that I would want for my second star right now. Borderline 1 star, just in terms of go to war with me. He will do whatever it takes to win. Yes, there are guys that are more talented. Yes, you have your Jokic's. Yes, you have your Jaylen Browns. But this is a guy who knows very much well, if it does not happen in the next 2 years, I'm never winning a championship. I've already seen him try to leave it all out on the court when he went against Denver a couple of seasons ago. I fully expect him to buy in with a change of scenery, especially when he plays with a talent, if it's as good as Steph Curry.
Yeah, I salute this iteration of the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler. 2 finals appearances, 3 Eastern Conference Finals appearances in his Heat career. Very successful. Didn't win the big one, but always was in it to the end. Had a say in the conversation. Mazz, I think what you were trying to say in so many words, and just to like dumb it down, is Steph Curry is the ultimate like he is a seamless fit with any superstar in the NBA. He can play next to just about anybody because of his unique skill set. It's just what he does. It's what he's been doing for 15 years. Yeah, Jimmy Butler would be a great addition in the Bay. I mean, yeah, him and Draymond anchoring the defense, him and Steph, making things work on offense would be really cool. Yeah, as you said, the Warriors probably have a lot of depth that they could make a trade for to try and consolidate the roster and cut down on some guys' minutes, and bringing in a guy like Jimmy Butler would definitely be helpful and increase their ceiling on the season. I don't think it makes them championship contenders, but it definitely makes them a bit more interesting. The other team that was brought up with Jimmy Butler was, I said, the Houston Rockets. And then he was also very much interested in. Dude, did I just lose it again?
So let's talk about the Rockets while you're looking.
No, I had it.
East or West?
East. Houston Rockets.
It's definitely not the Philadelphia 76ers.
Golden State Warriors.
Magic?
Not Atlanta.
No, not the Magic. Oh my
Atlanta
goodness.
Hawks?
I literally just had it. What is wrong with me?
Bucks?
Dallas Mavericks.
That's not Eastern Conference.
That's not Eastern Conference.
I couldn't remember. Give me a break.
Man. Come on. That's interesting. Both. Okay, let's start with Houston, and then we'll finish off with the main event of Dallas, right? I'm enticed by Houston. They have my favorite coach in the NBA right this second, in Ime Udoka. Been screaming from the rooftops, I wish the Lakers would have signed him. I don't think Boston should have ever got rid of him. Yes, there was a scandal between 2 consenting adults. Get over it. All right? So, nonetheless, all right, this is one of the best basketball minds out there. He's taken a young Houston team that's got already a little bit of veteran leadership on it with, my man Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams. This would be enticing because now you're bringing in a dog to show a bunch of young, hungry pups how to get after it. They're already sitting at third in the West right now. Jimmy Butler, I fully believe, takes any team into that next echelon. The only problem is, though, when it comes to playoffs, the inexperience is kind of what I'm afraid of. All those guys, whether it's Sengun, right? Whether it's help me out here.
Jalen Green,
Nope. But yes, I always think of their small
Dylan
forward.
Brooks.
Nope, their small forward. Help me out here.
Yeah, Dylan Brooks.
Eh, no, they drafted the kid. He was like
Oh,
number
Jabari Smith.
one. Thank you, Jabari Smith. I think about those guys, and I think that they're going to be quite the team moving forward for years to come. If I'm Jimmy, it's just I don't know if that's the team that can go all the way playing against some of these veteran teams. You're gonna run into Boston at some point. You might run into the Knicks at some point on the other side, right? Getting through the West alone's gonna be a mother, but once you get through that, will that team be able to go after it with guys that are in their prime? I just don't love that fit necessarily for Jimmy. Yes, for Houston, it makes all the sense in the world. That could take you. But for Jimmy, there's only a little bit light left, dude. I mean, he's getting up there in age. I just,
35.
yeah, I don't see that as necessarily, like, yes, it's a win now situation, but it's not my best shot at a championship. I'm much more enticed by going to play with Steph, and I'm much more enticed going to play with the next team that we're going to talk about in the Dallas Mavericks. But before we get over to the Mavericks, what's your thoughts on this Houston Rockets squad in the fit?
I don't think him putting Houston as a preferred destination is about honestly playing basketball. Jimmy's a Houston native. It's where he grew up, where he was born. So I think I think he recognizes that his time is coming to an end too. He's not what he once was. He's probably just trying to look for a place to settle down, wind down, and retire. I mean, the Warriors and the Mavericks are obviously not places where he's just gonna go and settle down. He's gonna have to play for one contender, one playoff contender. And I don't know if the Dallas Mavericks make too much sense for him. He doesn't space the floor for them like a Klay Thompson does at small forward or Quentin Grimes at shooting guard. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that fit. I think if you're looking at all these spots for Jimmy, I think the best spot would definitely be in Golden State.
While I do concur, I do see why Dallas would be over them just because of the recent success of getting there with lesser talent. Dare I say, here's what Jimmy brings to the Mavs. Yes, you might be losing out on spacing, but you've already brought in guys to counterbalance that. You bring in another ball handler, you bring in another guy that can take over in clutch time with Kyrie, with Luka Doncic, and I firmly believe that Jimmy will be more than happy to be like, Kyrie, go ahead, take that last shot. Luka, go ahead, take that last shot. I can score in my moments, but I've been single-handedly clawing Miami for so long. I don't even want to take the last shot. I want to lock in on defense. I want to guard the best offensive threat when it comes to the wings that we're going to be facing, right? And just let me go out there and do what I do best. And that is playmaking and playing defense. And it's going to be much more easier for me playing with Dallas. And because they're already a team that got to the finals, just did not have enough to get over the hump when it came to Boston. You add in Jimmy and Klay Thompson. If Klay's in the right rhythm, you already know Kyrie's coming to play. You know Luka's coming to play. I will bet everything in the tiny bank account that I got with Bank of America right now that Jimmy Butler will show up to play if the Dallas Mavericks go on a run and he's there. And he'd be in Texas, so it's a little more closer to home, a little more comfortable for him. Not Houston, but, only a couple of hours away. He is a Texas boy, as you said. I can definitely see why Dallas would be circled. But for me, probably my number 2 fit, just because I do worry about too much talent on the court at times there, where I feel like it would be a much more smoother system if he were to go to Golden State, just because there's a much more, a better pecking order. And it's always easier to go from 1 to 2 than it is to go from 1 to 3. However, both could be enticed. It's literally up to Jimmy on the role that he would want to have.
Yeah, I'm sure the Heat are giving Jimmy a say in the matters because they don't want to leave a bad taste in the mouth of probably their best player since LeBron left. You know what I mean? Like he has carried them in this era of Miami Heat basketball. So definitely he's getting some love and respect there. But Maz, that's all we got for today.
So, do you think though? Here's my one question, right? We talk about the Heat, right? Best player in franchise history, not by talent, just by franchise and accomplishments. It's Dwayne Wade, obviously getting a statue. LeBron's gonna have a statue. Shaq's gonna have a statue. I imagine Alonzo Mourning's gonna have a statue. My question is this: has Jimmy done enough in Miami to deserve a statue?
Unfortunately, the fact that he hasn't won a championship errs on the side of no, he does not. He's probably just outside that bubble.
And your thoughts?
I probably have to agree with Charlie on that one. Jimmy's a great player. I think maybe jersey retirement potentially just for taking him to 2 finals.
Yeah.
But statues immortalized for the greats, the all-time greats.
Okay. Fair enough. Listen, you guys know how much I love Michael Jordan. But he has his jersey retired by the Heat. If they don't put 22 up in the rafters alongside it, he's never played a damn minute for the Miami Heat, and he's up there. If Jimmy's not up there, consider me highly offended. Not that they're gonna give a damn, because who the hell am I? But I'll tell you right now, I hope that Pat Riley makes this trade happen. The Heat do not really love making trades. They're much rather sign guys in the free agency. But we'll see what happens. So, anyway, fellas, we will definitely see what happens there. College football playoffs right around the corner, of course. Charlie, just give me one team that you're looking out for most of all in this college football playoff. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're frozen. Oh, you're back. We're back.
So, fellas, of course, that will do us here. Charlie, I got one more question, and I want you to jump on this too. Of course, college football playoffs right around the corner. We've talked about Heisman. Who's the number one team that you're looking out for in this college football playoffs?
I don't know how you can't say Oregon. I mean, number one team in the country. They had their first round bye. Great defense, great offense, great quarterback, great coach. How could they not be the favorite to win the whole thing?
And
I like Georgia, even though Carson Beck's hurt, and I get he hasn't been playing up to his ceiling that we've seen over the last couple of seasons. Oregon's great. I think they're the best team in the country, but I don't know. I just think Georgia, when the playoffs come around, Kirby Smart has more experience than anybody in this playoff bracket right now. I mean, Sarkisian maybe at Texas has a little bit more. I don't trust Ryan Day in these postseasons at all. And then you have a bunch of teams like Boise State. I don't think is going to get out of the first or the quarterfinals. I don't really think Arizona State gets out of the quarterfinals. I think Georgia has the best chance because they had the first round bye, and then they're probably going to have to play the winner. I think it's Indiana and Penn State. They play the winner of that game, and I think they blow out whoever they play in that one. And then the semifinals. I just think it's a run that you potentially have to make. I'll pull up the playoff bracket right now for you guys so you can base your judgments off of what you guys want to do.
Yeah, so I'll tell you right now, I'm so mad that Ant just took the Georgia Bulldogs. That was absolutely going to be my pick. I will give you a consolation prize just because of path to the playoffs. They will have to beat the Georgia Bulldogs at some instance, providing that they keep on making it through with them. But I think Penn State having to go against SMU and then having to go against Boise State, I just like that matchup for them. I think that they're going to be able to really make a big impact for sure. But we'll see what happens with them because once they run into the Bulldogs, it's going to be a challenge, but they might be in a pretty good situation to face them a little more rested while still getting some high-level competition out of the way, but not the highest teams.
Okay, so I have it right here. Sorry, my bad. So Georgia plays the winner of Indiana versus Notre Dame. Boise State will play the winner of SMU and Penn State. Arizona State plays the winner of Clemson and Texas, and then Oregon plays the winner of Tennessee and Ohio State. I think Georgia beats whoever Indiana and Notre Dame. They're going to destroy them. And then it's going to be the winner of Penn State or SMU or Boise State. I think Georgia blows them out. And I think Georgia has an easy run at the championship game right now. It's an easy run.
I think we can all agree, though, that whoever Penn State plays in the second round, they're going to get blown out, right?
Penn State plays Boise State. Yeah.
Oh, they play Boise State?
Yeah, Penn State plays SMU. They win that game. They play Boise State.
Oh, never mind then.
I'm gonna be honest. I think Penn State steamrolls them personally.
You're right. Yeah. I figured they were going to play somebody like a Georgia or a Texas or something like that, and it gets.
That would be round 3 if Georgia makes it, and I think they're tuned up at that time. I think we saw them go to battle with Oregon. That was a close game for the most part. I think, that's ingrained a little bit. You get back after it. By the time you face Georgia, there's 2 really decent tune-up games for them. I think Penn State's something to keep your eye on.
Yeah, but I think Georgia's got the easier side of the bracket right now compared to Oregon, because then Oregon has to play the winner of Tennessee and Ohio State, which I think that's a hard game for Oregon no matter who they play, because Tennessee has a fantastic defense. Ohio State has one of the best rosters on paper in the country. And then they probably have to play the winner of Arizona State and Texas, which would more than likely be Texas. So you have a chance to play either Tennessee, Ohio State, and or Texas in the next round. If you're Oregon, you're the number 1 team in the country, and you have a harder strength of schedule to go through the playoffs than Georgia, who is the number 3 team. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me.
I think you make a good point. I want to thank you guys for this episode. And thank you very much for coming on to the team. We're more than happy to have you. And guys, thank you for putting up with me during my babysitter troubles today.
Wait, you guys didn't do pick'ems?
Oh.
Yes. How long have we been going for this episode?
It's about not even an hour yet.
I'm trying to keep the episode short. I'm trying to do a separate one for picks actually.
All right. Sounds good.
Is that cool?
Yeah, no problem.
Can we take a break real quick and come back with the pick'ems just because I
gotta
get situated?
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.